Okay, I suspect that we will keep having people kind of trickle in as we roll along here on this busy Tuesday evening. As you all know, I'm Jody Taylor. I work for Calgary Regional Consortium as a designer of professional learning. And we are here tonight again with Kim and Donna. Kim, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Kim Barker-Kay, and I am a consultant with the Northwest Regional Learning Consortia. My focus is on education for reconciliation and building educational equity. I'm in the Northwest region and live in High Prairie up in the Slave Lake area. And I'm very excited to have been part of this series, of which this is the third.
Welcome again, Kim. I'm Donna Ross, and I have to say this is going on my 7th year in this position as a consultant with the Calgary Regional Consortium as a consultant. And really, my foundation is education for reconciliation. And my #1 starring role is being a cookum. That's my most favorite position and job in my life. So I quite often share it. But thank you again to my lovely colleagues for working together into this new curriculum and doing some planning with Indigenous lenses. I think that we still have a long way to go, but this is a good start, and it gives us, a great approach to this work and how we do it in a good way. So thank you.
Great. And so we'll get going tonight. The beginning in a good way tonight falls to me, and we've had such lovely beginnings with Donna doing an online virtual smudge for us in the first session, and then Kim in the second session shared with us a personal statement and a prayer that she had been taught in her work up north. And now tonight it falls to me to begin in a good way. And I, as a non-Indigenous person, don't have those same beautiful tools to draw on, but I did want to spend tonight starting with a land acknowledgement and sharing with you a little bit. As I've said throughout this series, I'm very much a seed in this work. We talk sometimes about being a seed as a new person in this work, or a sprout, someone who has been in it for a little while, or a tree, someone who's more of an expert and has had lots of time to grow. So I spent some time crafting a personal land acknowledgement, something that speaks a little bit to my own heritage on this land. And so I'll share that with you tonight. And then we're going to talk a little bit about land acknowledgements before we get into sharing your work, building boards and connecting to the new curriculum. So for me, as a Calgarian of settler colonial ancestry, myself and my family have benefited greatly from living on this land. That is the traditional territory of the peoples of Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederation tribes of Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, and the Stoney Nakoda First Nation tribes of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley, and the Tsuut'ina First Nation. The city of Calgary is also homeland to Northwest Métis and Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. I'm committed to learning more about Indigenous ways of knowing and being, and taking action through my own teaching to honor these ways in my own work and to support the work of others as they, and then apparently the rest of the typing doesn't show, but support the work of others as they learn more about these ways of knowing and ways of being, and how we can promote that two-eyed seeing approach where we have the Western worldview that I grew up in, and also bringing into focus that other lens, that Indigenous ways of knowing and being. I felt it was important as I was reading more about land acknowledgements to acknowledge the fact that I am the granddaughter of settlers on this land and on land in Saskatchewan. I think it's important in the process of reconciliation to acknowledge that my own family and myself have benefited from that relationship that was so detrimental to the people who were already living here. So that's part of my own reconciliation work, to acknowledge that and to say it as part of the acknowledgement that I am here in Treaty 7. Donna is also here with me in Treaty 7, and Kim, you are in Treaty 6, is that correct?
No, I'm in Treaty 8.
Oh,
Treaty 8. Treaty 6 is around Edmonton. Yeah,
darn it.
that's okay.
First mistake of the night. and it's recorded. All right. Okay. So I also wanted to share, because we are talking about how to weave these ways of knowing and being into our classrooms. This is an example from Foothills School Division south of Calgary. And what they did is partnered up a grade 9 student with a grade 1 student. And they had the kids talk about their own relationship with the land. So similar a bit to what I just did, and acknowledging the traditional peoples who have lived here since time immemorial, and what they appreciate about this land. And so this statement on the left was written by this team of students, one in grade 1 and one in grade 9, acknowledging the beautiful and sacred land. I love that language. Resided on in peace and harmony, with its broad rolling hills, striking rocky mountains, golden plains that stretch for miles, and rushing rivers that curl through the land. We appreciate and value the privilege it is to now use and enjoy. How beautiful is that? For language coming from kids about how do you appreciate the land? We are honored to be able to learn, grow, and progress on this beloved land, while also being mindful of the many generations before us that nurtured the same fertile soil it is here today. It is essential that we are aware and respectful of diverse and unique range of plants and animals that have made this land their treasured home for so many years ago. Let us never forget the roots and history connected to the land we now cherish and hope to cherish for many years to come. So this partnership also had the grade 1 student then illustrating to go along with the statement that the grade 9 student, grade 1 student came up with. So just an idea for how you can have students, even very young students as low as grade 1, reflect on the history of the land, what they appreciate and love about the land, and make it part of their own statement, their own acknowledgement of the land. And all of this thinking is a personal act of reconciliation. So this idea that this land is not, did not suddenly come into existence when my grandparents arrived here and decided they were going to farm in Saskatchewan. They were occupying land that was not theirs. And although they did not acknowledge it at the time, the truth still remains that that was an action that they took. So just a little statement from the Calgary Foundation about what land acknowledgement should be. It is appropriate at the beginning of an event or gathering to have a land acknowledgement. It should not be rote or repetitive, because then it's going to lose significance. So acknowledgements should come from a personal place and a solid understanding and appreciation of the land, language, and people. And Kim, I know that language piece is something that was communicated directly to you as well, that the language is intrinsically important. Correct? You just muted yourself, love.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I went backwards. I thought I was muted. But yes, when I was embarking on my own personal act of reconciliation and developing a land acknowledgement for myself, I sought guidance from elders and colleagues, Indigenous colleagues, and language was huge, that I include as much Cree language as possible into my land acknowledgement.
Yeah, so that's amazing. So continuing on with the land acknowledgement theme, I really admire on the left-hand side here is the Calgary Catholic School District land acknowledgement. And I think that this, in my mind, is a really interesting example of two-eyed seeing, because you have a faith-based school district that is reconciling with the way of knowing and being of another group. And I love that first sentence: the Creator gifted us with this land that we are blessed to share and care for together. And I think that statement, and Donna, I think you were involved in working on this. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of many.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I think that that's just such a great way of encompassing Indigenous ways of knowing and being, and also wraps so beautifully into that faith-based school district's way of knowing and being. So nice job, Donna, and the team that worked on that one. And then there's this other one that's on here is a City of Calgary land acknowledgement that is actually on Nose Hill. acknowledging that that is a traditional part of Treaty 7, what we now know as Treaty 7 and the groups that have resided there. So I think that this is something that we're seeing more and more, and the importance being that it doesn't lose authenticity. And another instance, and I am a proud Calgarian and a vehement Calgary Flames fan. So this is, Donna knows this is taking me a little bit of a moment. And I think I'm going to have to actually maximize for sound. So I'm just going to stop sharing and then hit the right button so that the sound comes through, because I really, really love, oh, Mary Beth, that's so cool. I really, really love this land acknowledgement. Even though as a Calgary Flames fan, this is the land acknowledgement that plays at the start of Edmonton Oilers games. And I don't say very many good things about the Edmonton Oilers, but I want to watch this one and I want us to listen. This includes what the crowd is doing. And I think that that's a really interesting piece of this conversation. So I'm going to play this quick, hopefully.
Danse, hello to all people of Turtle Island. As Chief, I welcome you here to Treaty 6 territory. This land has been traditional Region 4 homeland for the Métis people of Alberta, the Inuit and ancestral territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux people since time immemorial. The recognition of our history on this land is an act of reconciliation, and we honor those who walk with us. Thank you, Kinenaskum Tnawa.
So great.
Whoa. Okay. I love that the Oilers do this before their games. There are also other. Okay, sorry. There we go. I love that the Oilers do this before their games. The Calgary Flames are not there yet, unfortunately. But the other piece of that recording that I find really striking is how silent and respectful the crowd is. And then they always, every single time, applaud afterwards. And to me, that's incredible. And it shows that that statement, even though it does occur before every game, is not becoming rote and is not becoming just part of the background noise, but it's a very respectful tone in that crowd. And they always applaud. So I think that that's amazing. I also found it interesting. I know that many people that I know, teachers and just people in my non-Indigenous community, as the discovery of unmarked graves has started to happen, Canada Day has been very difficult to kind of reconcile in our own minds this idea that we're celebrating a country that perpetrated such actions against Indigenous people. And so this screenshot of a country acknowledgement is actually from Fort Calgary. They did it Fort Calgary land acknowledgement session, and the link to that session is in your slide deck. It's a half-hour recording, so we're not going to watch it tonight, but this screenshot is the land acknowledgement that they included in that session, acknowledging that we are in and on the ancestral lands of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, respecting and honoring Indigenous traditions and teachings that help make this country rich and diverse, and recognizing the ongoing colonial biases relating to this lands that favor non-Indigenous people over Indigenous people. We aim to continue learning about this so we can contribute to living more wisely together in ways that promote our holistic well-being. Some really powerful terms there as far as acknowledging biases. But I thought that that was really powerful. So with that, I'm going to pause and let Donna and Kim have a moment, or anyone else in the room have a moment to speak to kind of that. First, Oiler fans are here. Oh no.
There are a couple of questions, Jody.
For sure, absolutely.
I was just, the first question, just kind of scrolling back, was for Donna from Lana. As a non-Indigenous person, is it appropriate to lead a virtual smudge for participants in a session? I love that idea.
Yeah, and I did directly message Lana.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, No, that's okay. It's an open question, and I think that everybody should have the opportunity to do an open smudge, absolutely. And some, I guess it depends on what ceremony that you're involved in. It might take somebody with smudge privileges or an elder. And if you're feeling comfortable, Lana, you can do that as well. I know I did mine virtually because we obviously can't meet face to face. So I took the opportunity to do a virtual smudge and just, we hear, we see, we talk, and to have good blessings and good kind words and moving forward in a good way as an act of smudging, and of course as an act of reconciliation. So you can do it any way you would like, but it's just one that I've always used because we weren't allowed to smudge for the last couple of years. So I was just at a conference in Canmore, and we were allowed to smudge. So it was a real blessing. And I have to say to Lana that I've been very fortunate subbing out at Siksika Nation lately, and I really enjoyed my time working with elementary students. So it has given me so many good perspectives. But every morning we go in and we smudge. It's a school welcoming, and all the staff start the day in a good way. So I think it's an excellent way to start any meeting. And if you have Indigenous community or involvement too, Lana, that might be an opportunity for them to start the smudge with you. Anyone else have any sharings?
There's also a question or a comment to me who missed the opening last session because it wasn't recorded. Love to hear and see it also. So my opening the way to start in a good way was to share a very short Cree prayer that was taught to me. And as a good way to start and as a way to begin. And in Cree, it is Notawinan, Wichiwanan Mina, Kinawimanan Anoch, Kinanaskomptanan. And what that means is, Father, be with us and keep us today. So trying to find a way to start in a good way. And I also shared that when I was in the classroom, to start in a good way with a great group of grade 9s. I had been an administrator for years and decided my last year I wanted to go out teaching. So I hadn't taught in like 11, 12 years, and I went into grade 9, taught grade 9 language arts, and started to try to practice everything that I had been taught over the years, even though it was towards the end of my career. And so instead of starting with a prayer, I thought what we can do is we can start with gratitude. And every class with my students, we started with something that we were grateful for. And at first there was a little bit of balking at it, but then after it became habit and routine, if we didn't do it, the students let me know. It just set a very positive, good intentions for the class. So that's kind of what I shared last week. Thanks.
I have to.
We lost you, Donna. You're muted, love. There we go.
As recorder of the series, I forgot to hit record till about 40 minutes in. So I apologize if you've missed anything, but it was great conversation. We reviewed the week before, and then we started right into the Jamboards, and not the Jamboard, sorry, the boards. We included Jamboards as well. So I think people really very keen on getting going. And I do recognize the elder in this bottom picture. Jody, now that you do mention it, it's I believe it's Elder Sykes Powderface, who's passed. He passed in March or April of this past year, and a lovely man from Stoney Nakoda Nation. I am certain that's him, just as I look. He always wore glasses. I don't recognize him without glasses, but lovely man, and I'm glad that he was involved in the Fort Calgary in the work, or this particular country acknowledgement.
Yeah, that the Fort Calgary one that I shared on slide 8. You're right, because when I couldn't remember it when we were talking earlier, I went back and looked, and it is Sykes Powderface, and he is so eloquent in speaking throughout that recording. So sad to hear that he has passed, but lovely that his his knowledge and his contribution is
Yeah.
captured in that way.
His legacy lives on, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyone else? Karen is saying that she started to do a daily I'm grateful post on your desk every day. And today one of the kids put one up. Oh, grade 4, I love it. Great idea, Karen. Mary Beth, did you have something? I see you flash muted, unmuted,
Oh,
muted, unmuted.
Well, I was going to type it in, but just something that Wilton a little child said this weekend that really struck me. That conference was with the Catholic school board, like it was in conjunction with them. And he talked a lot about walking on the railroad tracks, and I literally grew up on the railroad tracks, so it really resonated with me. That, you know, if you've ever tried to walk on a rail by yourself, you don't get very far. But if you reach out, and I just had such a vision of me and my sisters doing that, you know, you reach across and you hold hands as you're walking on those rails, and everybody gets farther, everybody balances out. And really, you know, he was sharing how that's really what reconciliation is about, right? It's about making things fair and equal, and helping to make it the way that it always should have been.
I love that idea of the way that it always should have been. I actually, I was lucky enough last year with my grade 9s to talk to Donna as I was teaching some of the content for grade 9, which is around the Indian Act and the numbered treaties for Alberta. And I posed the question to them, you know, what would things be like if we had embraced more of Indigenous ways of knowing and being in our world, rather than going down the path that we went on? And it was really interesting to have the kids kind of envision if, instead of imposing a Western worldview and Western mindset through residential schools, what if we had been open-minded? What if settler colonial mindset had been that this way of knowing and doing is valued, and what would our world be like? And man, the grade 9s had some interesting observations. So, you know, hindsight being what it is, valuing all these things would have been such a different place now if we had gone down that path. So yeah. Anyone else want to contribute to these ideas before we head into our next part? Okay, I'm going to fire up the screen share again. And we'll move to that next part. So we got some questions about, what am I doing? Okay, there we go. So we talked a lot in this series about building authentic relationships with people, inviting people to be our partners and come into our classrooms and share their knowledge. And then we got some questions about, well, how do we do that? What do I do if I'm a teacher at a school that doesn't have an Indigenous knowledge person who can put me in touch with someone? And so I'm going to hand this part over to Donna and to Kim to talk about the how of building those relationships, and what first steps should a non-Indigenous person take to kind of start that ball rolling.
Yeah, I'm going to let Kim Barker-Kay speak. She has a great perspective, and I think it's important to share.
Oh, thanks, Donna. Yeah, actually, strangely, this afternoon, after our conversation, Donna and Jody, from this morning, I was Ekti, who is an elder up in this area, and got in touch with me, and we were on a Zoom, and I was recording her to answering some questions from high school students. And it just resonated because she talked about elders and protocol. And we had talked about not talking about that this afternoon, but she talked very much, and it was very similar to how my experience is learning patience, to be patient, and that you are the one who has to search. and you are the one who has to reach out. So as a non-Indigenous person, and I'm living up here where we have very small communities and many, many First Nations and Métis communities. In the work that I've done my whole life, is that reaching out for building relationships. The advice that I would give, like if you're in the city, like for us, our students, we have so many First Nations and Métis students, their parents, staff members, colleagues. If you're in a location where you do not have Indigenous staff or leaders in your school or in your area, where it's not an easy thing to do, places where you can start your search is in Native Friendship Centers. That's always a place that many of us up here have talked about. Is if you're going to an unfamiliar community, go to the Friendship Center, tell them who you are, introduce yourself. And I'm looking to begin building relationships and to help get some support in my classroom and get to know people. The other place are band offices, settlement offices, Métis Nations. The first time that I offered protocol to an elder, I was terrified. And I was older. I believe I was in my 40s. I'm in my 60s now, but it was the first time that I actually followed protocol and I had no idea. My key suggestion is ask for help. I did not know what to do. And I asked for help, and I had to learn to be very patient. And the story I kind of shared with Donna and Jody is I was terrified the first time. I had butterflies in my stomach, and my friend who was First Nations she's still with us, is First Nations, and was raised in a very traditional way. I made her come with me to Valley View, drive to Valley View with me to go visit an elder who was with Native Counseling Services to offer protocol. She literally pushed me in the door and then shut the door, and she bailed on me. I'm not standing there terrified and holding this tobacco and prints, not knowing what to do. And I tried. And the very, very kind gentleman that I was going to visit and offer tobacco just had this wonderful, patient smile on his face. And he said, "You can stop now. Let me teach you. Put down the tobacco and the prints and let me teach you." And that was the beginning of a 10-year relationship with this elder and his wife, where I learned so much. But that was the advice from ECTI today, is learn to be patient with yourself, be okay with yourself. You're going to make mistakes, and just get that guidance from the elders. So, but you have to make the effort. You have to go out and find people to talk to and start building that relationship. So that's about my 2 cents for right now, and I'll pass it over to Donna.
Thank you, Kim. I love that story. I like that great moral support and shoving you in the door. That's the way you should do it, I think, right? We should put that in protocol. No, I'm kidding. I think we're very fortunate to, work alongside with many great elders and knowledge keepers. And certainly one of the ways I have shared in the last couple of webinars is just really, making connections with usually an Indigenous lead in one of our many schools here in the Calgary area, and just asking, who is someone that you work with, and could you recommend, somebody I could meet. And so it's usually, making a phone call, and some lovely elders are pretty tech savvy. It's, text messaging, and sometimes even an email. So it depends on how you can get a hold of them, but it really does make a huge difference when you are able to connect. And your intentions need to be brought forward immediately and why you're there, because they want to do and support the best they can, but they want to know what it is that you're looking for. So I've been very fortunate to meet many elders along this journey of a consultant with CRC when I first started in 2016, gosh, and just meeting with elders from the area. Some I had met for the first time, and I'm still very closely connected with. I have to say, Kim and Jody and others that are listening, having worked with an elder, particularly here from Siksika Nation in the Treaty 7 area, we do a lot of co-facilitating. And so his message is, if you're asked a question, you have to answer it as an elder. So he often will get some very bold questions around his journey in residential schools, and he is very honest and will share in a good way, depending on the age group of the student population, but he's always very honest. And so he said, it's my responsibility as an elder and a knowledge keeper to answer in a good way and to be truthful and be honest. So we continually talk about building those relationships, and that's certainly one way to approach it. I know that it's a way that I've learned. So if I've asked a question, I answer it the best way I can. So that's my journey with working with elders and knowledge keepers, and how very fortunate I've been along the way.
Mary Beth, do you want to just unmute and speak to your comment? Because that's amazing.
Yeah, so the Calgary Public Library, through their Elders Circle, you can book time either in a Zoom session, or if you're able to physically go down to the Calgary Public Library, you can meet in person. But I've met with Anthony Starlight a couple of times. I've met with Alice Coquit. I think Adrian Wolfleg is one of the elders that they have as a list of people. Like, you can actually go through and read the bios of people. And Henry, I can't remember Henry's last name, but she coordinates it all, and she stays in the session just kind of in the background. But yeah, and really it's a great way to have a first conversation with someone, to try and get to know them. And then Anthony, I really liked we really liked chatting, and so I've met with him again since. And Alice and I have talked about the potential of her coming here to our school, because she worked in early childhood education, and so is a perfect fit for young kids. So it's a great way to have first conversations, I think.
Fantastic. That's such a great thing to know. And I wonder if that's true of other locations in Alberta as well. It would be interesting to investigate that as a way to kind of bridge that contact piece. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Mary Beth. We appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I wonder, Jody, we have some friends here from Edmonton. I see their names on the board, and from the Métis organization, and maybe we can call on, if they don't mind, Billy Joe Grant or Cheryl Devitt in that case. I don't know if that's true in Edmonton or St. Albert, but what a great idea. And I forgot that Calgary Public does that. They've got a great program set up for educational purposes too. Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that Billy Joe Grant has helped me so many times? I can't even count.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Lovely lady. She's so much fun too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to allow some time for people to jump in if they'd like to. Wait time is hard for me.
We're supposed to allow 5 seconds per.
I know, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm getting better at it, Donna, I swear.
Okay. Well,
maybe we'll move forward right now, and then we can offer that opportunity out again later on, perhaps. So right now, at the end of last session, after sharing the boards that Kim and I had created as examples for how boards can be used to weave together instructional resources from New Learn Alberta, outcomes from New Alberta, resources from other places, and kind of organize them all in the same place. And taking all of this amazing knowledge that we've been provided, exploring instructional design principles using land-based teachings and holistic learning through an Indigenous lens to weave Indigenous knowledge systems into new curriculum, we gave you homework and we asked you to try to build a board or a lesson plan. Kim provided a great lesson plan template or setup that we can use. So we want to give you an opportunity to share how it went. And what I thought might be useful, and we'll see how this goes, is I've got breakout rooms set up that are grouped by grade or role. So I've got one breakout room that is for kindergarten to grade 2 teachers. I've got another one for grade 3 and up teachers. And then I've got a room that's labeled other. So I know we've got people here whose role is Indigenous education lead or professional learning coordinators from consortium or whatever. So those of you, if you don't fall into the K-2 teacher or the grade 3 and up teacher, so if you're not in a classroom right now with kids, you're an other. And I was trying to come up with a word that would be so much nicer than other or like everyone else. So that's where Dawn and Lana and some of our other people who are not in a classroom right now are going to head. So I'm going to open the breakout rooms right now. And what you're going to do is just share your work and honoring that we are busy and we are tired. And if you didn't get to it, that's okay. I'm going to give you 30 minutes right now. Or let's start with 20 and then I'll pop in or one of us will pop in and stick our face into your conversation and just check in and see how you're doing. Were you able to build a board? If you didn't, that's okay. I'm putting you together in kind of commonalities of subject areas or grade levels so that you can, if you want, collaborate and do a little bit of work right now and a little bit of resource sharing. So let's see how this goes. I'll give you 20 minutes and then we'll come and interrupt you and see if you would like more time. So that being said, let's open up the breakout rooms and you should see the option to join a breakout room. And if you don't know where you should go, let me know. Yeah, and we'll go from there. So go ahead and join your breakout room that matches up with your current role in your life. Are you in the classroom right now or are you at the district level? Wherever is your best place. And if I shoot you off to a different place, if you're by yourself, I'm just going to reallocate you as we need. Perfect. Morning.
I think they got a 1 minute warning or a 30-second warning.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm going to throw it to you guys because there's no questions on our Jamboard. You guys did such a great job. Nobody has any questions. Just nailed it.
I'd like to hear, if somebody else wants to share their process. And I know that there are a lot of great ideas in the conversation I just joined. So I think that there's a reluctance to publish, and I think Jody and Kim, we had talked about that prior as well. What are your thoughts on that? Particularly you, Jody, well, and Kim, because this is work that's, with that Indigenous lens, as we say, but at the same time, as we say, there's just so many great resources out there. So I think, share, Jody. I'd like to hear what your comments are.
Being nervous around publishing a board for all the world to see?
Yeah.
Well, I had the inside scoop on being able to run it by Donna. But I think that if you're using, for me, I felt more confident in putting resources in there that were either New Learn Alberta resources or were from Donna's list and Kim's list of things that they saw as valuable and reliable and vetted. And then it's just about making those connections, right? And I think that connecting resources and connecting learning outcomes all together is something that everyone benefits from. And at the end of the day, I kind of have to remember that my importance is not that big. Nobody knows who I am, really. So, okay, Jody Taylor put that out there.
Who's she?
Who's she anyway? Really? So, yeah, so Mary Beth, there are the resources listed on the first Google slide deck, and I think there's another resources deck in the second one, and Donna's actually going to share some more stuff here in a minute. But I think that my understanding would be that there are some kind of tried and true go-to resources, and if we're linking pieces of that in and then publishing, I feel pretty confident personally in the connecting piece, but I'll let Donna and Kim speak to that as well.
I think if I was teaching, I was thinking if I was still in the classroom and teaching, I'd be really nervous about publishing. I'd probably keep it.
Yeah.
My comfort level would be to keep it smaller within my collegial group, wherever I was teaching. But publishing for this, I was very intentional on the whole piece, and I actually ended up going back in and making some changes and tweaks as I got more guidance from elders and from our advisory group, our First Nations, Métis and Inuit advisory group. Made a couple of suggestions about what made them more comfortable with wording. So I did go in and make a few changes over time with wording, just to make sure that it was done in a very respectful way. So that was taking a big step publishing, because it's hard work. It's hard work. But like I say, if I was teaching in the classroom, I think I would be leery about publishing for the whole world to see, but would feel more comfortable within my district. So that's how
Yeah, thank you for that, Kim. I like Jody's response. There's also the option to share via email addresses, so you don't have to publish to everybody.
Yeah.
If you just
do you want me to just, sorry, do you want me to just show that quickly about how to share just to certain people?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let's go quick. So I had New Learn open already to talk to someone else about a board. So when you're building, I'm just in add a new board, and you can go to sharing and enter email addresses here. And then you can choose whether you want them to collaborate. So whether you want them to be able to change your board or just see your board. And then publishing is for the whole wide world of Alberta to see. So just to kind of address that idea that maybe you only want to share it to your grade group, or whoever you collaborate with at your own school. An in-between step before publishing, or perhaps instead of publishing, you could just enter your team's email addresses there. And then maybe your administrators or whoever you might want to see it at the district level or at your school level as well. But you control the audience unless you publish. So you can just put in certain email addresses there and kind of have that in-between step.
So, and as Kim had said too, you have the option of going back and editing if things change or wording or whatever. So Lana has a question. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Jody, this is actually just a quick question. When you go into the boards, can you just go in there for a second? And when you go to all of the sharing options, or where it says my boards, like when you got, so yeah, my boards shared with me, published by Alberta Ed or published by teachers. So my boards, that is nobody else can see. I'm playing with it. I'm doing whatever. If I click on shared with me, that's anybody who shared with me personally, right?
Yep.
And then published by Alberta Ed, we've actually pushed the publish button, and or it's anybody, I guess, that's published at Alberta Ed. So I guess my question is, once you published it, you can still go in and edit?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so my boards are boards just made by me,
Yeah,
where I was playing with different things.
Yeah.
Shared with me are ones that people have shared to the email address that my Alberta Learn account is under.
Yeah.
So even though I have other email addresses, it's just that account.
Yeah.
Published by Alberta Ed is not even the ARPDC ones. It's
Oh, okay.
just Alberta Ed stuff.
Okay.
And then the ARPDC boards come up as published by teachers.
Oh,
So
okay.
if I click published by teachers, like Rick's got one in here, Sandra's got one, mine's in here, Kim Barker Kay's is in published by teachers.
Yeah.
What was I going to say, Donna? Yeah. So, but yes, you can still edit it. So I can still, and I think Kim was just talking about, she's gone in and edited her board even since we shared it. The ones that we shared in this session. So you can still go in and edit this board. And this board, just to also mention, the board that I shared last week that is published, I also shared it directly with certain people to
Right.
kind of bring it to their attention. So just to touch on that as well.
So we were playing with a board in our room there and had
Mhm.
trouble. We knew it, we had saved it, but when we were going back and forth from the learning outcomes to the actual board, we could not find it. Even though we had my boards collected on, like we had clicked on my boards.
Mhm.
Magically, it showed up right when you guys zoomed us out. But we don't know how we got there, really. It was just
So
pushing
I
buttons.
think it takes a little while for the website to catch up with us.
Okay.
Because I
okay.
think Cheryl was doing a board session as well, and she was updating a board and saving it all along, and then it took a little while. There was a lag. They had to refresh or log out and log back in, and then it showed up.
Okay, so that partly could be, it just took some time.
Yeah.
Okay, because we knew it was there because we were adding
Yeah.
the outcomes, so it was saved and it was there, but when we actually went to view it, it wasn't there.
Yeah, and wouldn't that be magical if all that work was gone? No, it's if you're hitting save the whole time, it just takes it a little while to start popping up, because I know that happened to Cheryl within a session too, where she was working away and saving, and then she tried to pull it back up and it was gone, and then she refreshed or logged out and logged back in, and then it was there again. So they're there, so don't freak out. If you've been hitting save the whole time, then it should still be there. Good question though. Thank you, Lana.
Okay, are we going to go back to resources? I love the room I was in. We talked specifically about sharing a board and a little trepidation around publishing it. And so I think it takes time to get to that place. I mean, Jody, this is the kind of work, and Lana and Kim, that we do all the time. So it's not a nothing for us to go on and hit publish, but I haven't done that yet. But I did want to just share another Padlet that I did this afternoon. Rather than do a board, I thought I'll do a Padlet. I just titled it Indigenous Stuff 2022. No grand title, but it just kind of gives you a walkthrough with each of the areas that you can search, and they're a little bit different from the other resources that I had attached the last time. So Indigenous pedagogy, the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and I find the more that you look, the more resources are actually out there. And then of course Métis Ways of Knowing, and our work with Empowering the Spirit, the Stepping Stones, and Rupert's Land. And then Indigenous artists, I thought, what a great component to add, because I know that we have so many fabulous artists here in the province of Alberta. But this Indigenous story, it's a CB, is it our story? It's a Canadian, I can't remember what that little flag means, but there is great resources in that particular artist area. So if you get a chance, go through all of these. I did share the Google link to it. And then, of course, the legacy of residential schools. I uploaded this Shattering the Silence. It's a PDF from the University of Regina. There are some great narratives in there, ones that I have not seen before. So I was really quite pleased to see that, a new resource that I hadn't come across. And then, of course, the Inuit experiences at residential school. and then the stepping stones and all the wonderful work that ATA has created. The reconciliation reads on the next slide, I think, Jody, yeah, are 15 must-read books, and then, of course, 48 books by Indigenous authors. And then Monique Smith does some fabulous work as well, and she's got many books out there. And just a few other odds and ends, cool sites to explore. So CBC Kids, of course, and then the Learning Circle goes from all the way to grade 12, I believe, grade ages 6 to 12. I'm sorry, kindergarten to grade 12 is how that works. So they've got some fabulous resources in there. And I believe that was created in, oh my gosh, 2009. But the resources are a bit timeless too. So there's some great pieces in there. forwarddirections.com. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's an interactive website. They've done a beautiful job as well. I put a land-based teachings in here, and really when I looked at it, if any of you know Dr. Herman Michel, he's from the L'Orange Band in Northern Saskatchewan. He's done some fabulous work. So land-based education, elders and Indigenous knowledge systems, reconciliation from an Indigenous perspective, weaving the way of life in the aftermath of residential schools is that title, and then Cree ways of knowing school science. So there's tons of great ideas and resources in there. I worked on a reconciliation slide deck for a particular class here in Rocky View School Division, and so I put a PDF and a PowerPoint, and it's about 19 slides in this particular reconciliation, and it's for K to 6. So use it in any capacity that you want, and it's just a very basic general way to introduce reconciliation, residential schools, some historical perspectives around treaty education, and so just some great ways to include those in your class. And then I included some reconciliation activities in there. There's about 5 or 6, I think maybe 5, and then how to do a land acknowledgement. And then, really, the last slide is as we never say goodbye in Indigenous ways, which is considered a final parting. Instead, we say, see you again soon, my friend. And so that's really important. You'll not find a word for goodbye in any Indigenous language. That's just the way it goes. So, you know what, it's 5:29 already, and we're going to do a wrap-up closing. And I know that might take a couple more minutes than expected, but we'll start there. Jody or Kim, would you like to start with that one?
Go ahead, Kim.
Sorry. So you're thinking of a sharing circle going through?
Yeah, just
everyone?
just
Okay.
a short one. Yeah.
You know what? We're going to do this very quickly. We have a few questions here, but we'll go down the list and just be as brief as you can be, I guess, because we're almost done. And maybe one takeaway, answering one or two of these questions. Okay. So I'm going to start with Lana. And Lana, you're muted.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was on another screen. So, you know what? The takeaway for me, I think today's session was seriously the time spent on the land acknowledgement and just how powerful that can be. And as a presenter myself, maybe just being more reflective and more in tune with that piece and taking a bit more time. So I really appreciated that today. So thank you.
Thanks, Lana. Dawn.
Oh, goodness. I guess my question that I'm left with is more about myself than it is about my instructional practice. But as I mentioned previously, I'm a member of the Métis Nation of Alberta, and I have a lot more to learn. And so my question is, what am I going to do next in my own journey of learning about my family's identity?
Thank you. Don't know how to pronounce your name. Giotto, is that correct?
Jody.
Jody, okay.
Yeah, it's Jyoti.
Jyoti.
Yes. So like everything basically was a takeaway learning. And then the last thing, I could not get into the boards, and with Lana and others, we created a board, and it was like really, when you work together, it gets easier, because I was struggling when I was trying to do it myself. So Lana was a big help. Like, yeah, she showed everything, and then that was a big thing. And then yes, land acknowledgement and everything, whatever sessions I take, like I have attended so many sessions, and every time I think, no, there is still a lot more to learn. It is just the beginning. I'm nowhere, like, yeah, so that's what I feel.
Oh, thank you so much, Jody. Karen.
I loved that I got to go in with Lana and looking at the boards, and definitely the land acknowledgement piece was fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks. Kelly.
So I really liked kind of just hearing all the different ways that I can bring Indigenous learning and thinking into my classroom. I teach kindergarten, so sometimes it's hard to find things that are kind of applicable for those little guys. So I think talking in my breakout rooms was awesome. I got some strategies and some new things I can try. And I think a question I'm left with is just, how can I kind of do more and make sure I'm reflecting on my teaching practice and incorporating it every day?
Thanks, Kelly. Mary Beth. Or sorry, I'm going alphabetically. Kevin.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the time that we've all had. I really appreciated learning how to use the boards. And I need to sit a little bit longer and figure out what questions I'm left with, because I know that I'm not firing on all cylinders tonight. So
thanks, Kevin. Mary Beth.
Hi. Yeah, the breakout room was awesome. Having Kevin share the board he made and kind of seeing how to change and link things was awesome. Having the access to New Learn Alberta. I guess the question I'm left with is, when will be the next in the series with CRC that we'll do like this, talking about stuff. And I just wanted to share, I use TVO Kids a lot. It's kid-to-kid videos for kids across Canada from different First Nations groups, just talking about themselves and their culture. So I feel like anytime you can do kid-to-kid, it's just so much more effective than me talking about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Beth. Donna.
Well, yes, I look forward to continuing this work. It's never going to be enough, and I'm glad that Jody had mentioned that. You think you attend all these lovely presentations and work and webinar, and you still walk away going, wow, I still have a lot to learn. And really, that's how I feel most of the time. So I love collaborating, and I think it's a great place to start with networking. And I look forward to the boards. I think that we have the opportunity to collaborate more often than we know. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Thanks,
Donna. I'm working with you two lovely ladies. Sorry, and Lana. Yeah.
Thanks, Donna. Jody Taylor.
I hope I've expressed my gratitude to Donna and Kim throughout this series as like I keep calling myself, a seed in this learning. Their knowledge and their expertise and their encouragement has just watered my little seed and kept me going. I've learned so much, and I have so many takeaways from collaborating with you. I just feel so lucky. And also thank you to this group for your vulnerability and your honesty and your openness to this learning, and being willing to share when you're nervous or when you're feeling whatever you're feeling throughout this work. I think I just honor that, because I think that it takes a lot of, I would say something inappropriate here, but I won't because we're recording, but I think it takes a lot of courage. So thank you so much to everyone for being involved in this series. And I know that CRC does have some plans. The lovely Donna Ross does have some plans to further this learning. So keep your eyes peeled and stay tuned.
Thanks, Jody. And I get last words here from way up north here. I'm just grateful to have been part of this and to be able to share some of the amazing work that's happening up here in Northwestern region, and to work with Donna and Jody was wonderful. And it was nice to see all of you for 3 sessions. And I wish you all the best in your planning and your work with the new curriculum and with building boards and with lesson planning. So please do share all the work or all the resources that we've shared with you, share with other teachers. Please do. And with that, I'm going to say Kinanaskomptanan. Thank you all. And have a wonderful evening. And that was from the heart.
Yeah.
Thank you.